The park. Just a place to work. Just a place to play punchies. Is it just a place where it's a coincidence that scientific and magical world ending events happen on the weekly or on the daily? Today, let's look at the evidence and see what's really going on at the park. In one of my last videos, I talked about Mordecai and Rigby being kept alive by the park because of how unique they are. Today, I want to fully explain myself and make a parktacular case of exactly why and how the park would do that. To be able to protect Mordecai and Rigby from the possibility of staying dead, and possibly protecting others from it as well, the park would have to be alive. Do I mean like it's a person? Kinda. But I think that the park is more likely a very old life form. It looks like a normal park, and the day-to-day functions of cleaning it up and taking care of it are inconspicuous. But there's something much deeper in the soil of this large, beautiful, and sometimes very dangerous landscape. If you really think about it, the park seems to heal itself quickly, besides the very large hole that used to be in the middle of the park. But considering the explosions, releases of large quantities of energy, battles, and death Kwon-Do, the park seems to bounce back quickly. Sure, the park employees have their hand in the cleanup, but trees and large parts of ground and plant life couldn't be replaced by them daily. The other reason I believe that the park is alive is because of the constant anomalies that inflict the park. It almost seems like a lightning rod for otherworldly events. Is the park causing these events? I don't think so. I think the park attracts these events due to the fact the park is alive and a source of immense power. The same power that keeps Mordecai and Rigby alive. This leads me to another thing I brought up in the past video. I said that Benson picks the people he hires for a specific reason. Why? Since the park is alive, it's aware of the dangers that constantly come its way. Yes, it's largely able to fend off attacks, but the park still takes damage over time. Thus, I think the park has commissioned Benson and Mr. Maylard, but mostly Benson, to hire the right people. The right people to defend the park. Think about it. Every person hired at the park has some sort of hidden ability and superpower that can be used in times of distress. Skips is an immortal, strong Yeti full of wisdom. Pops is simple, but he is godlike. Benson and Muscle Man can become super strong in their rage. And Mordecai and Rigby can somehow fix any situation. The park employs 6 unique, powerful people in what seems like menial jobs and tasks. But in all reality, they are there to protect the park in, well, regular show's reality. If events like this were going to take place no matter who's employed at the park, wouldn't you want the best men for the job? It seems the park knows exactly who they wanted. Threat after threat, after slacking off and causing problems constantly. In all reality, Mordecai and Rigby wouldn't have jobs anymore after a short week of work. But for some reason they still do. Despite Benson wanting and quite honestly needing to fire them, they ultimately stick around with no consequence except for more work. The only real reason for Benson to keep them around is there's a higher power keeping them around. Or a power below Benson's feet. Five members of the park live eat, work, and even hang out at the park most of the time. It's not normal for one person, let alone 5 members, to live at the park full time. For the park to fully protect itself and its employees from everlasting death, the park has required its strongest and most unique to live there full time. But this leaves the question of why the park manager doesn't live there. Everyone else at the park has other things in their lives that would pull them away from the park or even cause them to leave the park completely. But in the case of Benson, that doesn't seem to be the case. He's always tied to the park. The park is his life. The park must feel like there's no threat of him ever leaving it. And not to mention that he can probably afford to live somewhere else due to the higher pay that he's getting than the rest of the employees. Speaking of Benson's pay, if anyone in the park's crew should have a higher paying job, it should be Skip's. The knowledge that he has should make him wealthy, and his body should make him a bodybuilder. But despite the pay, he seems content with his low-profile life, excluding the events he constantly needs to fix and the problems that he's always solving. This begs the question, why is he still there? With all that he knows and his knowledge of events that transpire in the universe, shouldn't he be off doing something else? From what we know about Skips, he's a noble being, and he likes doing things for others out of the goodness of his heart. Either he feels sympathy for the park employees, or he's very aware of why there are Twilight Zone-like events happening to the park, and he wants to be there to support and protect it. Plus, having an immortal on your side is definitely a leg up in the fight against pretty much, well, everything in the universe. In conclusion, the park isn't just a large landmass. It's an ancient being that has been through a lot. So much so that it feels that it needs protection, and it's willing to give its residents some help to make it through these crazy events.
You know who else leads the violent